Welcome to the Experience Darden podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Mendlin. Haley is a first-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2027, and she and I recently connected to talk more about her background, her decision to pursue an MBA, what led her to Darden, how she decided to apply to Darden through the Future Year Scholars Program, what she's been up to in her first year, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the Experience Darden podcast so you never miss an update. Remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. And now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Mendlin. Haley, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's great to chat with you. How's everything going? How are you doing?
Things are good. We just wrapped up my last quarter of my first year MBA, so I'm feeling great. It was a great year. I learned a lot, and I'm excited to be going into my internship soon and taking all this knowledge with me.
Yeah, I'm curious, how will you be spending this summer?
Yeah, so this summer I'm actually headed to UCLA Health, where I will be working in their data and AI department. And I'll be looking into different things such as patient length of stay. And obviously, there's a lot of costs that go into the hospital. And so, how we can sort of reduce those unnecessary costs through looking at different data and then manipulating it with AI.
Did you know that you wanted to work in healthcare? I'm curious, did your career interest evolve during your first year?
Yeah, I've actually always wanted to go into healthcare. It started at a really young age for me when I was diagnosed with a rare knee injury and had 3 surgeries at UCSF. And so ever since that point, I'd kind of been in hospitals a little bit throughout my life with that and different knee surgeries. And so I always gained so much energy from being within the hospital and knew this is the path for me. And so hopefully I will be going into the administrative side of the hospital.
Well, that's very cool. Well, tell us a little bit more about your background. What did you do before coming to Darden?
Yeah, so before Darden, so I attended UC Berkeley for undergrad. From there, I ended up at Microsoft, where I was part of a rotational program at Microsoft. And so in my first year at Microsoft, I worked on the Azure AI team. I worked specifically on Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI. And then during my second year, I worked on M365 or Microsoft 365 and pricing in emerging markets. So understanding, emerging markets are very different and more unique. So how do we price our products in these countries?
And you applied to Darden through the Future Year Scholars Program, which is our deferred enrollment program. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what drew you to Future Year Scholars?
Yeah, so I actually, in my junior year of undergrad, I decided to start looking into some business schools because I knew I wanted my MBA. I was in the undergraduate business program at Berkeley, but I knew that I still wanted to get my MBA and wanted a different experience as well. So I started looking into some different programs that I could apply to. And something I found really unique about Darden was that Darden, I was able to apply with an SAT score. So I didn't have to take away time from my studies to now study for a new exam, but I could rather just leverage my old exam. So I connected with some different folks at Darden, and I actually kept the conversations going for about a year before applying and attended some different admissions events as well. And then from there, I applied to Darden, and luckily I got in and was very excited, and then ended up deferring it for 2 years. So I'm definitely on the younger side over here, but it's been really great. And I think I've had a lot to still learn and a lot to contribute to my classroom.
I'm curious, we always ask the Future Year Scholars who come on the podcast, how did you figure out when you wanted to start your MBA program? Because you can enroll anywhere from 2 to 5 years into your career. So how did you figure out you wanted to get started after 2 years?
I think for me, I knew my program was only 2 years at Microsoft and I could continue at Microsoft and continue on. But I knew at that 2 year mark, I felt ready. I knew that there were skills I was lacking or missing that I could probably gain from an MBA. I also knew that I wanted to be within leadership positions. So I want to obviously graduate and hopefully go into positions where I'm managing. And I think Darden sort of excels that forward. So that was my reason of deciding between the two on the younger side of 2 years, or the, I guess, lower side of 2 years between the 2 to 5. Overall, I think more time does not hurt at all. I think more experience can only help you in the classroom. And there has been some times where it has been challenging to get certain internships overall, But at the end of the day, I think I landed exactly the spot I wanted to be in, and so for me, it seems all worth it.
All right. So um, ultimately, you come to Darden. You're first year student. What was that adjustment process like for you to being in a graduate business environment? Obviously, not too far removed from undergrad, but nevertheless a change.
It definitely was a change for me, but I think I actually enrolled in Darden Before Darden, which is a program you can enroll in before going into Darden, and it helps you understand the case method. It helps you become really prepared for that first day of classes. So that truly helped me with the transition and made it a little bit more seamless for me. I think the transition overall, it was different. I had expected what I had expected in my undergraduate business studies, which was not case method. It was lecture based. And so going into case method was very different. It was fast paced, it was high intensity, but I really, really thrived in the environment and I found myself gaining so much knowledge. And I remember walking away, even just from my first quarter and coming home and thinking, my gosh, I have a whole new set of skills and tools just from one quarter, and definitely felt that impact of business school.
Now, you mentioned you went to Cal Berkeley for undergrad. Sounds like you're going to be working on the West Coast. Had you spent much time on the East Coast before?
No, and that was another huge desire for me was coming to the East Coast, and that was another reason why I also wanted to attend Darden, was to be on the East Coast and to be close to DC as well. There's a lot going on in DC. It's a major hub, and so I thought, how great would it be to be only 2 hours away, and there's so many opportunities there that I can engage with. And also knowing that Darden has an additional campus in DC is helpful.
Did you get a chance to visit Charlottesville or spend any time on grounds before you matriculated?
Yeah, so I actually visited Charlottesville back in 2023 when I was accepted. So after I graduated from undergrad, I came to grounds, visited, I had a great tour, and I think that's what really sold me was I remember meeting with an admissions officer, and she was just so well equipped on my application and knew everything about me. I remember walking in and she immediately said, "You're interested in healthcare and you're interested in this and you're interested in that." And I know that you'd really like the library because like you mentioned it, that you enjoy studying at the library. So I want to make sure to show you the library. So just that really, I guess that major connection there was big for me. And the fact that Darden took so much interest in me as a student, the things I wanted to endeavor here. And that meant so much to me. And I really, really value that to this day.
I appreciate that. Yeah, coming on grounds, getting a chance to see it firsthand, spend some time, walk around, visualize yourself at the school. That is a very powerful thing. So you talked about the adjustment and the learning process, obviously being very different. Socratic method, case method approach here at Darden. How would you describe that to a prospective student who's listening to this podcast, who's hearing some of this for the first time, like not sure what all this means?
Yeah. So the case method is really unique because you actually get to learn about a ton of industries and functions through the case method. So every day you come to class prepped with your case, you'll have done the case before in your learning team, and you'll come to class and there will be a discussion around it. So instead of a professor actually teaching you these different methods and teaching you these different tools, you come to class prepared with these tools and you discuss these tools, which really allows you to dive a lot deeper into these skills you're going to gain at Darden. And so for me, I loved it. And I know even recently in my interview for UCLA Health, they had asked if I had ever manipulated healthcare data. And my thought immediately went to I have not done that in practice, but I have absolutely done that through the case method here at Darden because I've had cases related to healthcare in my decision analysis classes, which are more data heavy courses. So it definitely helps you gain a real world, I guess, example of different functions and industries, as I had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, nice to be able to have something to talk about with an employer too. Have you ever done this? Oh, yeah, we actually had this class, and be able to tell a story about that.
Absolutely. Yes. It's just, I think this way of learning is so great for me. And it also, I think it forces people to come out of their comfort zone. I think anyone who comes to Darden will walk away feeling more confident, feeling like they can speak up in a room. I think everyone is really prepared to be at that board meeting at the end of the day.
What section were you?
I was section C, which is it was a great group of people. We're known as section C suite. So it's a lot of C suite energy, I would say. But No, overall, it was a really great section. It also provided me with friends immediately coming in, which really helped too. But sort of makes the full school feel a little bit smaller. I mean, Darden's not a huge school. It's 350 or so students in the full time residency program, but it allows you to make deeper connections. I had even one student who, or one of my peers, was really helpful. He knew I was interested in healthcare and he connected me with some of his personal connections as well, which also helped me along the way and to understand what type of internship I wanted for the summer. So I think you build much deeper connections being within the sections.
Yeah, do you have a favorite section norm or something you would do within section C?
Yeah, I would say every morning we would have a chant, and that would just bring everyone together. You could see everyone's faces light up, and everyone was smiling, and everyone knew the chant at the end of the day. And so I think that would probably be my favorite thing is it really, really connected us all having this one chant that we, I guess, would say every single morning. It's crazy to think that I haven't done it in an entire quarter now, but um, definitely brought so much to the classroom.
You had an opportunity to take a few electives at the end of your first year. How'd you think about what electives you wanted to take? How'd you make those choices?
Yeah, so for me, thinking about my interest in healthcare, I definitely want to take courses that related to healthcare, which I'm actually excited. I'll be taking all the series of healthcare courses next year. Unfortunately, they're not offered in your first year, but in your second year, they are all offered, and so I'm very excited for that. As for this year, I took a really interesting course called Managing Trade or Managing International Trade. And I really, really enjoyed this course. I think it brought ideas that we are currently going on in the news to life and also allowed me to have real opinions on them versus just reading an article. It really allowed me to understand the economics behind it and I was able to visualize all these different graphs while I was thinking about some of these problems. And so I'd say that was a class that really broadened me in so many ways in understanding tariffs and just everything going on in the news related to tariffs. I know oil prices right now are skyrocketing. And so understanding the reasoning behind why those are skyrocketing and the economics piece. And then I would say I took some courses that I think are more about leadership. So I took a course called At Your Best, and it was great. I mean, and I remember my professor said a famous line at the end, and I think this is going to stick with me throughout my life, especially going into healthcare. And, she had said, "Don't give nurses a pizza party, give them another nurse. Like, when there's burnout, don't give them a pizza party, give them another nurse." And I think that's something that really stuck with me in that course because as leaders, we're going into these different industries, and you're going to be managing a lot of people. And so know exactly how to manage, understand, like, who you wanna manage, it's really important that you understand actually how to have conversations, how to have difficult conversations. No one wants to just have a pizza party at the end of the day when it's a difficult conversation, but they really want the actual support and they want you to show that you are going to actually make a difference within the company, not just, provide them a sorry party. So I think it's that class is really, really helpful in understanding how to really lead and how to be a resilient leader. And then trying to think of my other courses I was in recently or I'm in right now. I'm in 5 courses. So, um, I'm in an entrepreneurship class as well. I'm actually in 2 entrepreneurship classes, and I'm actually not super interested in entrepreneurship, I would say, but it has made me really interested in it, and I really want to understand the foundations of entrepreneurship, just especially considering, like, investing in ventures in the future, understanding, how these ideas come to life and what would be a good venture to invest in versus something that might be more risky. So yeah, I would say overall it was a great, great quarter and a lot of new learning, a lot of stepping out of my own comfort zone. It wasn't necessarily courses that I am going to go into the future, but I think they were all really helpful in providing me tools and skills even for the field I want to enter.
So it sounds like you had a pretty good summer. You're heading back to the West Coast. So what are you looking forward
Yes.
to in the summer months?
I am looking forward to being back on the West Coast. I do love the East Coast as well, but I'm excited to be back on the West Coast. But I'm really, really excited to finally have a chance to enter the healthcare field. And this has been a lifelong dream of mine. So I'm very excited to be finally in the hospital, working in the AI side, applying my background, um, and and seeing if I really like this because I think I've always wondered, is this the right career path for me? And so it's allowing me to finally have that decision and explore it. Um, And I'm also excited to come back to Darden in the fall, fresh and with new ideas and more to even add to the classroom setting and to be in healthcare courses as well and apply my knowledge from this summer. So I would say those are things I'm probably most excited about.
Yeah, the second year is obviously a busy year, but sometimes for a variety of reasons, and not just class, but other things that people are doing outside the classroom. Are there any clubs or organizations that you're involved in, or any things that you're looking forward to in your second year?
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to be a part of the healthcare club. So I'm VP of finance for the healthcare club this year. And I'm excited to just, I think, explore that as well. I've never really taken on a finance role. So again, stepping out of my comfort zone, which I think is probably Darden's motto at this point, because it really forces you to do things that you maybe thought you would never do for one, or thought you could never be. And so I'm excited to start the VP of finance role. And then I'm also on the Darden Disability Alliance, and I'm supporting that club in the marketing, from the marketing standpoint and events. So we're excited. We're going to be hosting First Coffee for the first years and second years, but mainly first years. We'll be hosting a First Coffee once a quarter. So that'll be exciting to meet all the new first years. And I'm excited to be a second year on campus, or on grounds. And then I also am hoping to join this course, which it's actually, unfortunately, don't receive credit for it, but I'm still very excited for it, where we'll actually be going to the prisons in Charlottesville and leading sessions for incarcerated women to actually understand or to learn more about financial planning, and they will receive credit. So that's something I'm hoping to volunteer and do throughout my next few quarters, is really work with these women and hopefully help them make better financial decisions post their time in prison.
Yeah, it's the prep program. It's an
Yes.
incredible program. We've had a number of students come on the podcast who talked about that. What attracted you to that opportunity?
I was reached out to about it, and then I also had heard about it, and so I think that really excited me as something I wanted to join. Um, for me, I think it's a great thing to do, to way to give back. I miss volunteering. I feel like there hasn't been a lot of opportunities throughout my first year just because it's so, so chaotic and so busy. But finally, now I'm thinking second year will be a little bit better and a little bit calmer, and I'll have time to volunteer again, which is something I truly, truly enjoy. Before Jordan, I also had an opportunity to to volunteer with the International Rescue Committee when I was an undergrad, and so those are just some different things I enjoy doing on my free time. So excited to volunteer with them, and I found out about it just, again, through word of mouth and being recommended to the program.
Yeah, there are definitely ways to get involved. It's been interesting to talk with students. There's the Board Fellows program. You hear some people who are doing that. Obviously, you talked about the prep program where you go to prisons and teach and help people develop skills around business and financial literacy. There's also Building Goodness in April, which is sort of like a community-wide volunteer experience. There's the Net Impact student organization, and they'll do a number of things. So yeah, definitely ways to get involved. But you're right. First year, you got such a full plate. It may be a little bit more of a second year thing.
Definitely, definitely is it. And I think the other thing I'm really excited to for second year also is to really build that healthcare club, and really make healthcare more of a priority at Darden, and something that students know it's a career path that they can absolutely join, and that there's so many careers within healthcare because healthcare is here to stay at the end of the day. So of all the industries right now, I think healthcare is one that is a more secure industry, I would say. So I think that's something else I really am interested in doing is really building out the healthcare club, also partnering with UVA Health, and building externships for students so that they can shadow different chief executive officers over there, and just have more visibility into healthcare.
Yeah, 1/6 of the GDP. I think you are correct that healthcare is
Yes,
not
it's here to
going
stay.
anywhere. Yes.
It is here to stay.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, obviously, there's electives that you can take in the second year as a full time MBA student, and then you have the healthcare club. What do you see as the healthcare club's kind of mission? Like, what do you mentioned some of the ways you'd like to grow the club, or like to see the club doing more. But how do you see the club sort of working alongside some of that coursework that people can do around healthcare in their second year?
Yeah, so I think this year we're talking about offering a healthcare boot camp. and a 101 series. So the 101 series will be great because, and we had it this last year and it was just wonderful, but we'll bring in different speakers from different industries within healthcare or different functions within healthcare. So you might meet somebody in healthcare finance, you might meet a healthcare consultant, and you'll learn about these different industries or these different functions, I should say, again, within healthcare. So I think that's something that's huge. And then we're looking into building a healthcare boot camp, and the boot camp will provide you with interview skills for healthcare companies. We'll also have an opportunity to probably tour UVA Health. At least that's what we did this last year. And it was absolutely wonderful to understand the operations of UVA Health, which is so immense. I remember we saw it as small as the supply room to the TV, to the monitors in the different, on the different floors. And you can just see everything going on in the hospital. So there is so much to operations within the hospital. And having this boot camp will really allow students to immerse themselves within healthcare operations or different facets of healthcare, which I think people don't even realize how many areas to healthcare there are and how much you can do with healthcare. There's also med tech as well, and that's another area I was also interested in. So it's endless with healthcare, and I think there's so much opportunity in this space.
Yeah, that's very cool. We had Mark Ruggiano and Christoph Herpfer on the podcast and part of our office hour series to talk about the healthcare initiative and just some of the things that are happening around healthcare at Darden. And what they talked about in the second year is that there's a healthcare elective in every quarter of the second
Mhm.
year. So you can take, at least four healthcare focused electives across that second year. And there's other things like an independent study. If somebody's really interested in healthcare, you could work closely with a faculty member on that. Other ways to sort of pursue this interest, healthcare club is a good example. But yes, certainly a growing point of emphasis at Darden, and students play a big role in this, right? Helping us figure out how to better support students who have this interest. What other kinds of things can we offer?
Yeah, and I actually had an opportunity to talk with Christoph and a couple of my other professors, and they've all asked if I would be willing to come back and share my findings and learnings at my internship, and potentially even write a case on it for Darden. So I've been thinking a little bit about that, of writing a healthcare case in general, whether it is related to my internship or not. But overall, I definitely want to collaborate with some professors, which is another really amazing thing that Darden does. Is you can do an independent study, or even just on your own time, you can write a case, and that case can actually be used for an exam for students, or it can just be used in coursework. And so that's something I definitely want to do before my time is up at Darden, is write a case.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, particularly if the case gets used in the curriculum. You to come back
Mhm.
and help teach it or talk about the case. We've had some students who've been able to do that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Haley, last question for you. I'm curious. I have a lot of prospective students who listen to this podcast. What advice would you share with them as they think about their own MBA journeys?
That's a really great question. I have so many things, I think. I think I always tell everyone I have met with, I tell them this. I think in your application, be passionate. You don't necessarily have to go down the consulting or investment banking route, but really be passionate about what you want to do at Darden. What do you hope to gain from Darden? What do you hope to bring to Darden? I think for me, something I was really, really keen on was that I wanted to develop more of a bridge with Microsoft and Darden as well. I wanted to make sure that we connect that. So if you have an internship or somewhere that you are connected with and you want to really build that bridge, make sure to mention that. And for me, I actually did support a couple of students with Microsoft this last year and help them get in touch with the right people over there. So I think that's huge for me, is like, know that you can learn so much from Darden, but also mention what you want to bring and what you are offering to Darden. Overall, though, I think remember that Darden is such a wonderful place where you are going to truly grow as an individual, and you have to be very open to growing. You won't just sit in the back of the classroom and not raise your hand. Like, you will be cold called, you will be called on, and you have to come up with a response. And it is going to broaden you. And you do not even realize it, I think, until you're here, but it broadens you so much and just prepares you for the real world. Like, you can it go to, and they say, I think this is, I remember hearing this about Darden students, and this was something that really stuck with me, was Darden students you can throw into an internship, and even if they don't necessarily know that field, they will figure it out, and without questions. They will completely figure it out. They will do a great job in the internship. They will complete the internship project and have no questions. Maybe in the end, of course, a couple of questions on their performance, but they will figure it out. And I think that's what Darden really teaches you, is how to figure things out on your own, come with the really important questions, and walk away, with a great delivery. So overall, I think Darden's just it is a great learning environment, and I would absolutely 100% always go with the case method for business school because that has been a huge turning point for me.
Yeah, I'm curious about why you think Darden students can just figure it out and find their way to a solution on something that they may not know very much about.
I think it's the case method at the end of the day. I think the case method truly prepares you. You are in a setting every day. If you read the case, great, and you should be reading all your cases. But if you don't read the case, you have to still know that there is a chance you will be called on in class. And so you have to come somewhat prepared or come up with an answer. And it's almost like improv, but it's not improv because there's a lot higher stakes here. So you it just fully prepares you to be able to answer any question and to work through problems on your own. Because again, you don't attend class and the professor gets up and teaches you the course concepts. No. You have to come prepared knowing the course concepts, teaching yourself the course concepts, working with your learning team to understand the concepts. And so sometimes that takes a lot of additional learning. I remember many nights I was up watching YouTube videos, trying to understand, especially my finance courses. I remember having to watch so many different videos because I still did not completely grasp the concept from the case. And even for my learning team members, we would stay up on Teams calls trying to figure out the finance cases and putting together financial models and understanding how we pulled different numbers from different places. But that's what you're going to do in your internship. It's going to be working on by yourself or with others to really figure out these problems versus looking to your managers or looking to your supervisors for that next step. It's going to be you coming. And I think that's what really is different about Darden students is they come with those questions. They come with those deeper and more thoughtful questions at the end of the day.
Well, Haley, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great chatting with you. Good luck in your internship this summer.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thank you for having me on the podcast. Also, I'm always happy to talk to any future students. So I'm sure if my contact information will be in the podcast, I'm happy to talk to anyone.
And that was my conversation with Haley Mendlin, a first-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2027. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, and you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at Darden, that's DARDEN, @virginia.edu. Till next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.